Item number one, call to order. Item two, roll call. Mr. Sharris, can you form the roll call for us, please?
Certainly. Mr. Pollock,
Here?
Mr. Lake,
Here.
Mr. Catrombone. Here. Ms. Foy and Ms. Vanicola are not present.
So we'll have a moment of silence. And we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Item 4.1, consider approving the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
And a second?
I'll second that.
Motion was made by member Catrombone and seconded by member Lake. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion moves forward. Item 5, public comment for agenda items only. Seeing no public members, nothing came in. Item 6.1, consider approving the minutes from February 1, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Yes, second.
Motion was made by member Catrombone and seconded by member Lake. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion moves forward. Item 7.1, Public Works Update. Mr. Sharits?
Thank you. Just a few items to bring to you. First of all, the staff have been taking the opportunity to do regular visits to the parks trails. Again, because it was during the month of February, there's not heavy use of the park and trail system, but we're still going out regularly. Not necessarily 3 times a week, but we're going out regularly and checking for trash, inspecting to see if there's any issues. At the earlier February Board of Supervisors meeting, we asked for permission to move forward on some of the capital items that had been presented in the 2024 budget. And we did get permission to move forward on some of them. We didn't get everything all at once. So the idea was to bring some of the key ones to the board. They would let us start running with them, and then we'll bring them back for approval as we go along. But I just wanted to share with you that we are, first of all, we had already done the Brookside Park backstop. So that was a project, but we had done that immediately in January. We are making the Drexel Lodge restroom sewer connection at this time, so that'll be completed before the park is really open for the season in the spring. We're moving forward on the Gable Park water cooler, and we're placing that order so that, again, that'll be ready for early spring to have that installed. There's a number of projects that were facilities related that weren't park related, like the roof of this building, the roof of the paper mill house, some of those things. The roof on the pavilion at Drexel Lodge, even though we did not get the grant that we applied for, we're going to do that in-house ourselves. And we've got the funding approved by the board for the materials that we need. Also, the repairs to the walking bridge over the upper pond at Drexel Lodge, we're going to be moving forward with that. Again, we're going to get the bids for that work and then bring it to the Board of Supervisors for approval. But at least the project is okay for us to move forward on. The Bartram Bridge renovations, I think I've mentioned before, the structural rehabilitation work at the Bartram Bridge we're working on. The 2 basketball courts, the resurfacing, repainting of them, and I know that's an agenda item later, but both of those courts, we got the authorization to start moving forward for work to be done on them. I will report to this committee that I have already requested that the backstops at the Newby Park basketball court be replaced. That was part of our capital project work, and I've placed that order for them. So that'll be done as soon as that material comes in. There were some electronic speed signs on certain streets on Goshen Road and on Gradyville Road. Not park related, but again, I wanted to let you know what one of them was. And then we're moving forward on the Gable ball field turf replacement project. Now that is a huge project. I mean, that's $500,000 project. So we're moving forward from the standpoint of getting the designs for it, getting the pricing for it. We still have to get approval from the board to actually do it, but it's officially green lighted to move forward and start working on that returfing project. It's a project that, because that field is so heavily used, we'll need to make a decision when we get to the point of doing it as to whether we hold off until maybe January or February of 2025 and have it ready to go and do it while the field's not in use, or if we're going to shut the field down for about 3 to 4 weeks and let the teams know that use it, that they can't use it. We'll make that decision once we get closer, and I'll bring you into that decision making. And then the final thing, there's a bit of capital work that's going to be taking place at St. Albans Circle. It's broken into phases, and that work, phase 1 was approved to start moving forward with the township engineer. Predominantly pedestrian and calming the traffic that goes through the circle there. So those are some things that I thought it would be important for you to know that we're moving forward on. Also, again, I told you the Brookside backstop was done. We're working on a planting and cleaning up of the hillside behind the backstop, and met with Mr. Pollock and Mr. Enal and a few other people about what could be done with the playing field itself, the ball field and the playing field. So that's a process that's going on. And Wade, I'm sure you'll comment on that.
Yes.
Later. Just closing out, we are working on the annual goose control for Drexel Lodge Park, and I'm trying to rope in Brookside Park as well with that, if I can afford to do it, because it's clear there's a lot of goose activity over at Brookside Park. There's actually much less this year at Drexel Lodge Park so far. Knock on the table.
Right.
That could be because of the last several years of chasing them.
Right.
And they're starting to set up shop other places, but we'll keep on top of that. And we're trying to look to see if we could help Brookside Park. Then finally, there's some tree work that we've been doing in the parks and also on the trails, such as, for example, just this past week, we've been working on pine trees on the Bishop Hollow Trail behind the Public Works Building and Gable Field. Pine trees that were identified by the township arborists as needing to come down. So we're working on that. And then we'll be working with the tree commission on replanting new trees to go along that area. And that is my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So when will you start putting down the mulch or whatever it is in the playgrounds? Is that?
Yes, thank you. So we actually we've reached out to the vendor. We're gearing up for the order for that. They've told me it's about a 7 to 10 day lead time from the time I place the order. So what we're targeting now, what Harry and I have been targeting, is what day we think we're actually going to do it. We're trying to keep an eye on the weather, and we're going to target when we're going to do it, and then order 10 days ahead of time for that and get all that playground mulch down.
Is that usually done in April or?
It's usually done in April. We could do it in March if the weather is favorable to it. So, but it's around that time period. I should also comment that we have been working on installing the shade at Brookside Park.
Yes.
So the frame structure they were working on literally today, and then as soon as we get that frame structure up the rest of the way, we'll put the covering on it.
Okay. I think most of that most of the wood chips that are in the playgrounds, what I've seen, it all looks pretty good right now.
Normally each year we just need to freshen it up. It deteriorates, it sinks, the level goes down on it. But it's good quality playground certified playground mulch that goes down every year. And so it holds up. I mean, you could almost say you could get away a season without doing it, but we always make sure that we freshen it up and fill in divots and those kind of things.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The trail behind Gable, I've ridden my bike back there and it's all rutted. And it's a challenge. I like the challenge, but you could twist your ankle there. Is there any way of firming that up? You guys have probably thought about that a lot.
Yeah, so we have been paving portions of it, the worst rutted out areas we've been paving. We envision paving the majority of that trail at some point, and there, as we talked about at the last meeting, we're also going to be working with Park and Rec, EAC, and Trails and Greenways on the entranceway to that trail from the ball field. So that area will also get paved. There's always a pushback when we pave the trail versus keeping it sandstone,
Right.
which is what it currently is. But in that case, because of the water runoff that we deal with, and we want to make sure it's as safe as possible.
Right.
We think it's realistic that it's going to wind up being paved in asphalt.
Good. Plus it'll be wheelchair accessible at that point.
Yeah, there could be some, it would be, there could be some challenges with the pitch, making it officially ADA. We want to make sure that the section, at least up to the snack bar and the restrooms, is completely ADA.
Right.
And as for the rest of the trail, I'm not sure if it will be. The balance with that is always, whereas I know you're very responsible with your bike riding. Not everyone who rides bikes along our walking trails are as responsible with it. And so we want to make sure that we don't create a raceway where pedestrians walking on the trail would have a hazard.
Right. Kind of like the Radnor Trail.
Yes, I mean, personally, I've walked on the Radnor Trail where you've had to dive out of the way because somebody was not being responsible with their bike riding.
Right, going too fast.
Yeah, and that's just,
That was me, I think, that time.
yeah, I thought you were aiming for me. It's a balance, you want to encourage it. You want people to take advantage of it, and, we don't want to tell people they can't. We just want to make sure that it's designed in such a way that it's not going to create a race.
Right, I hear you. Because it is steep.
Yeah.
Kids would have a good time with it.
Well, and we do have challenges that sometimes wheeled vehicles besides bikes have gone down it. And that also, it's not wide enough to accommodate that. And you want to make sure with a playground there and children being on it and walkers being on it. And it is very much a potential, it's a nice trail by itself.
Yeah.
It is very close to connecting with sidewalks up by Stony Brook Boulevard and Bishop Hollow Road. And eventually there's visions for trails branching off from it and going further. So we want to make sure it's a good segment that people could use.
Thanks.
All right, so item 8.1, discussion and possible action regarding Drexel Lodge Park Stream Cleanup with CRC, Saturday, March 16th, from 9 to 11:30 a.m. So Mike McGraw, who's a local biologist, heads that up for CRC, and usually the supervisors come out, members of the community. So I think if you go to CRC's website, you can actually sign up there, and they encourage you to do that, and you'll get a T-shirt. They have all the bags. Public Works picks everything up for us at the end of the day and gets rid of it. It's a pretty nice outing, so if anyone can make it, any members of the public that could make it, we'd appreciate it.
I unfortunately can't, I don't think. I have a shredding event that same day.
I don't know if you can make it, Joe. I usually attend, and I sign up
It's a
already.
great time.
They encourage you to go on their website and sign up because it helps them with grant funding in the future. They have, the more people they have, the better it is for them to get funding from different sources.
And when I first started at the township, Mike McGraw was actually on Parks and Recreation. He was on the committee.
Uh-huh.
So he's very attuned to our park system and this group. So it's always great when a couple folks from Park and Rec are able to be there.
What's the website? Just because I might be able to make it.
So if you just look up
CRC.
Chester Ridley Crum, but it's, if you look up CRC Stream Cleanup, that will get you there.
Okay, thanks. There's a chance I might be able to make it.
Is it kid friendly or?
There are children there. Mike brings his kids, I guess his daughter, last year, or year before, probably like 12 maybe. So I don't know how old,
10 and 8.
they should be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Pick up
if you're,
sticks.
if you're with them, yeah, yeah.
Have
It's
glo-
good for them, yeah.
Have gloves.
Just wear boots because
Could be mucky.
and we'll probably pull some weeds and that kind of stuff if there's not enough, trash to pick up in the park. It's gotten better and better every year we've done this. And item 8.2 is discussion and possible action regarding Greer Park Stream Cleanup with DCVA. Saturday, April 6th, from 9 to 12. So it usually runs 9 to 11. We're usually done by 11 o'clock. It's at Greer Park. We're gonna have another cleanup that Marty Milligan, a member of DCVA, who's been doing this for over 20 years, I believe. At Greer Park, we'll have the police officers and their families there, cleaning up. We'll be at Greer Park. I captain that one. So there's usually water available, gloves, T-shirts, and again, you have to sign up on their website. And if you just go to DCVA Stream Cleanup, you'll be able to sign up there as well. And the supervisors usually attend that with us. EAC is usually there, and members of the Trails Commission, some other organizations.
It's a good one.
And again, George and his staff pick up everything for us at the end of the day and get rid of it, so again, signing up online for any members of the public, it really helps with funding for DCVA, for grants and that kind of stuff for in the future. They've done a lot of good work from here that, we're pretty much the headwaters, the Darby Creek. They go all the way to the river, and they've done a lot with the whole entire watershed over years.
So Wade, with this conversation, I'll make sure tomorrow that the township puts out a news post on its website that has links to both Watershed Association
Okay.
pages and signups,
Great.
so that then there'll be one place that people could sign up for it.
Okay.
And I'll make sure we get that out. and
Thank you.
Based on the
Thank you.
conversation, yeah.
Very good, thanks.
All right, so old business, item 9.1, discussion and possible action for Brookside Park. So I met with Richie now, Mr. Sharretts, and Harry Robinson. We all met there. I met with Caitlin a week before that, and Caitlin and I just kind of bounced around ideas of what overall might look like, and what the requirements might be. So in Darby, or Fox's Run, which does feed into Darby Creek, is right next to the field. And there's been some interest in possibly making that field pristine, having weed and feed done, and that kind of stuff. So for the soccer association and lacrosse people who use it. But that would require chemicals being sprayed up to 6 times a year. So my thoughts, and I think Rich Enow's as well, was putting chemicals down there, having them go into the stream is not a good idea. And also it's not a good idea for the kids to be in chemicals. They're going to be there 6 times a year. So it doesn't get that much usage. We did record the usage. And it's St. Annie's Spring and fall, they use it for lacrosse and field hockey and soccer. Petticoat uses it for practice field Monday through Friday in the spring. St. Annie's is spring and fall. So it doesn't get a whole lot of use, so it's really to invest that much into it. It's kind of questionable, and you know, is it good for the environment? Is it good for the health of the children? So, I think, I would like to have an action to, recommend not making it a pristine field. Perhaps, so we're gonna meet with, Desiree Tomasco's husband, Tom Damasco, who does, he's a landscaper in town, and he does, you know, pretty good work and sizable, property. So he's gonna provide some input as well. So I guess we can hold off on our action until next month after we get his input, and then we can discuss it at next meeting and possibly make an action to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to not do the pristine work that, you know, the work that would need to make it a pristine field. So if you guys, you know, if you could take a, you want to take a walk out there and see what it's like.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of goose droppings there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Sharris said that he will see if he can put some preventative measures in place to reduce that to some extent. We did talk about the baseball field as well. Harry had laid out the where the base paths would be if it's for softball, little league and that kind of stuff versus college or pro level, which, you know, I don't think there's enough field to do a pro level, and it's only used for petticoat for practice and pickup.
Yeah. And they're not renting it to churches or softball clubs.
No. So, I think, you know, that Harry is going to look into possibly renovating the field somewhat. I'm going to reach out to the Petticoat League and see if they would be interested in providing some volunteers to help us
Rake out the infield and that.
Yeah, there's divots,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to go over there.
I did, yeah.
You really can't.
You can't walk on. We went to the road because we didn't want to turn around and walk back. We just couldn't. You saw hardly any grass, just a lot of poop. It was, but I concur with you about making it safe field, but you said a pristine.
And the backstop is really, really nice.
Yeah, it
They did
really
a great
is.
job with it.
Nice work.
And then there's the batting cage. There seems to be, there's a locker there. Richie now seemed to think that possibly Petticoat uses the locker itself for their equipment in the springtime. But he can't recall anyone using the batting cage itself for
Practice.
right. So I guess we'll wait till we have a full committee to take an action on that, but I think, you know, my opinion would be it should be taken down rather than invest any more money into it. I think Rich is trying to check and see if there's anyone still that might raise their hand and say it belongs to them, or that they use it. So we can again wait on action for that next meeting. And then item 9 point, do you have anything to add on the field, George?
No, that's great. I'm very happy to hear that you seem to be, you know, moving in that direction, because it was a concern that we had about, you know, did we want to use chemicals and make it, you know, as you were saying, pristine, as much as we want it to look as nice as possible,
Yes.
and as be as welcoming as possible to everyone. we want people to be able to roll in the grass on it. Once the geese are taken care of, we want
Right.
people to be able to roll in the grass on it and not have to worry that we've put something down on it. So I think it's very appropriate both on that and on the batting cage to, to wait till Rose and Caitlin are here to join the conversation and make an official recommendation to the board about that. I'm very in favor of both ways that it sounds like you're considering making that recommendation.
Okay, so item 9.2, discussion and possible action on the update for Newby Park and Gable Park basketball court painting. So the Board of Supervisors, 2 meetings ago or so, voted to not paint the mural that we had recommended on the basketball court itself. There's no discussion left on that. They did make a motion in action that was approved unanimously to go ahead and paint it in the exact configuration that exists there today. Now, when we had discussion, our committee had discussion last year about alternatives to the mural. We discussed painting in a different color format than would exist there today. A lighter color because it's better for the environment, and we talked about, and they approved putting the mural center court, the township logo on center court.
This one.
Yes. So it would have to be dumbed down from that.
People can see it online, but at least you people.
Yeah.
So if we did paint this ourselves, which I think we would end up doing, we would do a less detailed version of that with, the stonework wouldn't be, all that stonework wouldn't be there, the ribs in the roof wouldn't be there, it would just be a solid cream color. Perhaps the hinges on the door might be there. Just enough to replicate this from a distance.
Now, Mr. Pollock, I will share with you, I have reached out to Miller Sports, who
Okay.
was the company that was looking to help us in whatever fashion the basketball court took. And I asked, for the sake of argument, whether they could handle the seal if we put it in the middle. He's going to get back to me on that, so that it's an option that if they're able to do it, at least you can consider having them do it exactly the way it is there, or volunteers do it as a more simplified version. But I just wanted that possibility to be there.
What is your time frame for doing the painting? Do you have that?
I would like, what I would like to do is press the gas on it and get started getting both of those courts done, because we did get permission to paint Newby Park court as well. So I want to try to get them both going. I would really love to get Newby Park painted before we have whatever event at Newby Park this year.
Okay.
So hence I want to do it tomorrow. What I told Miller Sports is that Parks and Rec was meeting tonight. The Board of Supervisors was meeting on Monday night. If I get some direction from both entities, I may Tuesday morning be giving him a confirmation as to what direction we're going, so that he could finalize the plan for doing it.
Okay.
From a color of the court itself standpoint, originally, when we first started years ago, this process about repainting the court, the vision was going to be to repaint it in the colors that it was originally painted in, the kind of darker green and the rust colored red. I actually think that the township seal will work with those colors in the background, and
Right.
the turf field has both of those colors in it, the rust around the bases and then the green turf itself. So there's precedent for it working. I suspect that if it was decided that the court would remain those two colors, there's probably nothing I need to do from the Board of Supervisors standpoint, other than to say I'm moving forward. I'm signing the papers on Tuesday and we're gonna try to get it scheduled before the court gets heavily used for the year, although it's already been getting heavily used
Yeah.
already with the nice weather. If Park and Rec instead wanted to recommend two other colors, so say, for example, if you said, we'd really rather do green and blue or something, whatever we do should be in the seal palette, so that the seal doesn't look like it is out of place there. Like it, basically the colors should come from the seal, I think, because they said they wanted the seal in the center circle.
Right.
So based on that, I think it would be wise that the colors come from there. I think that the red and green do come in there. They're already in there. I think you could make an argument that a blue could go in place of the red if you really wanted it to.
Like the dark blue?
The dark blue or the light blue, if you really wanted to. If a different color design than what's out there now is recommended, I would bring that to the Board of Supervisors on Monday night, and they would get the final yay or nay on it. So consider that. If fresh colors of what's out there now works, let me know that. If you really feel like it should be a couple other colors on there, I'll bring that to them and let you know that's a recommendation.
No, when we discussed it with, Miller, the company who's doing the painting, he kind of pushed back on lighter colors because scuffing occurs. Now, environmentally, the lighter colors are better because it absorbs less heat. It's better for the environment overall. So, I'm not sure that we could have any other color than what's there. So, guess we can just let it ride.
Yeah, run with it.
So the colors that are out there now, believe it or not, it's been 9 years since that was painted. So they've held up pretty well. It's worn now for sure, but it's actually held up pretty well. You normally would, if you got 5 years out of a court surface without repainting it, you're lucky. That's actually when we started the process
Yes.
to work on a fresh coat of paint on it. So the fact that it's gone 9 years is actually pretty amazing. The colors work. But again, if you had a different recommendation, I would of course bring that to the board.
Would this seal go over to Newby as well? Probably not, because it's a shared park.
The park is ours and park is Marple's.
Okay.
I would suspect that the Newby court might be more susceptible to having something done to it
Yeah,
versus, which would be more difficult to fix.
right.
I think we're gonna have extra paint and we'll be able to address if something happens over at Newby. If the seal is over there, that might be a little
Yeah,
beyond what my crew and I might be able to handle.
sure.
But I'm not sure. If you think it would be best there, I would make that
I don't think
recommendation.
so. I think it's true because that's the park that the kids misbehave in. Because they're on their own.
Sadly, yes.
And spray paint. You'd end up painting the center circle
Regularly.
regularly.
There's been minor vandalism there. Years since my kids were young, we didn't want them there after dark, in that park so it's been going on for years. It continues to this day. It's nothing major, just,
Kids being kids.
Well, and this committee has been very clear and we've tried to follow that as well. If graffiti shows up, we take it down immediately. We don't allow the park to be let go, but the things do keep happening there. And hopefully this additional improvement to Newby Park will just make it that much more that maybe the parents will guide their children not to go do those kind of
Not to
things.
cut the nets off and.
It's, yeah, it's something that it should be, you know, people in the neighborhood should be proud of it, hopefully.
Yes.
So, I guess you know, we don't need to take action, we're just gonna let the supervisor's direction stand as it was given 2 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, again, as long as you don't, as long as you're not against the color scheme that's out there presently. Which has served, this has served us well.
So, any ideas for next month's meeting? Anybody want to see next month's agenda? I think we're gonna add some stuff. We have the concert coming up. We're gonna have a chalk art event at Newby. So we'll add those items. I think there's a few other items that weren't on the agenda this month that we're gonna add. And we'll continue with, Brookside Park initiative. So I guess meeting's adjourned. Thanks, Wade. Thanks, Joe.